All right, then. Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Bill. Let's get right to it. Does anybody want to motion to approve the minutes from last meeting? Thank you, by the way. That was Mari, right?
Yes, I'll motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second, anyone?
I'll second.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah. That's me.
April and Pam. Okay. Very good. So I guess the big update is, looks like we're getting silver, people. Well done, just by this much. Once again, at the last minute, Mary and Mari put together a little thing, right? That was got us over the finish line. We needed 5 points. We got, I think, 10 for whatever that was. You guys did it. I don't even know. And so the preliminary call from the Sustainable CT is that we are silver. And I think it's supposed to be in November, early November, I think they said they were going to officially announce. So we can wait.
Yeah, that's what April had asked about for the town council, since we're supposed to present at a council meeting, and Brianna's going to be on that meeting getting her, her talking about receiving her award. So did we want to try to get on for that at the same time? And if we have it, great, because they say early November, not the date. And if we don't, just indicate that we believe we're getting it, rather than waiting till the December meeting, because who knows, I may not even be on council for the December meeting, so we'll have to see.
Sure.
I'd like to make it through to the
I don't know.
end.
What do you think, Mari? Does that work? Make
I
sense?
think we could.
Okay. So that would be, I'm sorry, what was the date on?
I'll have to look at what the date is, but I mean, again, I was hoping we would have that meeting first with department heads and things, but since we don't really have a date for that,
Would we be bringing forth our priority list at that point to town council?
well, that's what I was hoping that we would have met, so we could have said, this is what we'd be working on. So hopefully that maybe can help to push that a little bit, or to, if not, at least to kind of put a buzz in the air saying these are the things that we've been, discussing and would hope to move forward on, and we're just awaiting word from the town. And then Kevin, I'll get you the date of the meeting. I can't remember if we moved it to Thursday or if it's the next Monday.
Okay. Sounds good. So you said Brianna's getting an award in front of the town council, is it?
So in April nominated her for.
Oh, very good. Nice going, SWAT team. So yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? And then we can she can stick around and we can talk about what she did to get us silver too, right? Because she's one of the main players in Trumbull Sustainable Youth, and that was one of our 2 equity toolkits, right? Makes sense.
Okay, I'll make sure I'll relay the message to her to cover kind of both topics, the recipient of the award and the Trumbull Sustainable Youth, kind of both topics.
Sure. I mean, we'll talk about her stuff at Trumbull Sustainable Youth, but it makes sense, I guess, if she talks about it too, if you think that makes sense. All right, so that sounds good. So one of, I forget who said, talk about the benefits of silver versus bronze. Was that Pam? Did you say that? What are the benefits of doing?
When people say, well, so you got silver, what's the big deal? You were bronze already. Is there a difference in how you're treated by the state? So I don't really even know the answer to that myself.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, other than that, I think the higher level you are, the more likely you are to get, matching funds and so forth and so on. But I don't know if it actually says that anywhere. So that's something to look up. I think we're gonna.
I did some research the other day because I wanted to know the same. I wanted to know the same thing. I could find nothing on the sustainable nothing. Like there was nothing like you get silver, it meant this. You had bronze, it was just silver, bronze.
Yeah.
We can check with Alyssa and ask her, and it may just be that it's kind of one of those being good stewards of the land. so that we have silver, there's 19 towns that have silver, but it's a good marketing piece for the town, and it also keeps pushing them to, just do the right thing. So whether it opens us up to better grants or more grants, it's kind of our own. I mean, look how much we've done, especially you guys for the recycling drives and everything, and treks and everything going into the schools. I mean, it's been like the push to get more things done as well. So there's that.
Well, certainly bragging rights go up there, but I just wasn't sure if we were treated any differently by Sustainable CT.
Yeah, I mean, even bronze, even just having any kind of certification, they never really said that it necessarily gets you anything other than maybe you'll have a better chance to get grants or matching grants or something from the state. But I think they're still kind of independent from most of the rest of the state. So I don't think it like hooks you into anything particularly much more than whatever Sustainable CT is involved with. That's my understanding of it, or at least it was that way. So
I'll send an email to Alyssa and ask her, but that does remind me, as we're saying this, what we should do going forward is to kind of keep a running list of what we're doing or any new initiatives or extensions and things, because if they do come out with gold, it'd be so much easier if we already know when we did something and what we did. We don't have to have a huge documentation of it, but to just kind of pop it in the folder that, we added this non-typical recycle to something, or we did another pollinator program, or, what we're doing, so we don't spend then, weeks and weeks and weeks going back and trying to find data. So I don't know how soon they're going to do that, but that was kind of an indication that they did these two, and then they will be doing gold. So, even with the look back period, if it was a year from now, it'd be nice to already have everything documented.
yeah, I expect they'll be coming out with gold standards, so to speak, in the next year or so, I'm guessing, because so many people have silver already. So, they want to keep it going. So we'll see. So regardless of whatever. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you. Before we move on, I just had a couple quick updates, and
Sure.
I was going to add them in before we got started, but I didn't realize we were kind of jumping on the agenda. But really quick, just a quick update on the thing we resubmitted was the residential home energy campaign. That was the item that we were able to resubmit for the last 10 points. And they were looking for data of how many participants we had as a result of the program. So I just wanted to give the group follow-up data. I did hear from the Connecticut Green Bank, and there were 8 people that signed up for the Smart E-loans during that period, taking out $145,000 roughly in loans. So we can provide that data back to Sustainable CT if they want. And I'm still waiting to hear from UI as to how many people signed up for the home energy saving audits during that time frame. So just a quick update. And then also a quick update on the International Coastal Cleanup Day we had last month. I got the data back from Annalisa, who with Save the Sound. And we had 39 participants that day. 32 were in person. The rest operated on their own. And we collected just around 250 pounds of trash that day. So.
Wow. I'm just writing this all down, sorry.
I can email
how
it
many
to you.
pounds of trash was it? 39,
250 pounds.
250?
So it brings our year-to-date total close to almost 1,000 pounds, I would say. I have to get the totals from the tracking website, but yeah, great job.
Yeah, that's great. And
Well,
then
we have-
going back to the Connecticut Green Bank, you said 8 people signed up for, what was it
For
exactly?
the Smart E-loan program.
Smart.
So they took out loans for various types of home energy savings tactics between central air, solar, heat pumps, windows. That's what was
And that was a total of how much loans?
$145,000 roughly.
$45,000. Thank you.
Sure.
Good to know.
Just
All
let me
right.
know.
Excellent. Thank you.
When you
So-
have that, it'd be one thing. When you have that, that'd be good to send to Dimitri, because I had told him about the program, and he didn't realize that was going on. But just I think to show that we've collected that much litter and garbage from around is pretty impressive.
Okay, cool.
And
and that was, sorry,
I just want to mention that maybe we should do a reminder email about the Clean Swell app. I use it every week, so I'm putting in 2 to 4 pounds a week.
Okay.
But I think there are other people picking up stuff and just may not blow it. They might blow it off, but it's good to log. It's good to know.
Okay.
And can we
And
make
by
the
the way,
little,
guys, just letting you know, Mary Ellen LeMay just asked me to send her the link for the meeting, so she'll be joining any second.
Okay.
can we make the little, since
Just
you know, I can't do those things, the little graphic-y guy, which like shows our levels going up as we're collecting more for the, like for Trex or, you know, even for any of the programs. I don't know if they weigh it for Crayola or anything like that, but for Trex and for the litter, I think it's like visuals are nice to kind of put out there to show the changes, you know, as we're collecting.
Bill, is that something we could ask you to maybe put on our landing page or whatnot? We could put a cute little graphic or something together if that's easier, right?
Hey, Bill, can you make Mary Ellen LeMay a panelist? She's currently an attendee, please.
Mari, just
Yeah.
when I know you're gonna handle the Clean Swell message, can we just make sure we have that name that you want in there so we're
Yeah.
consistent, trackable for you?
Right.
'Cause I think I might have used the wrong one at some point, and if I've done it, I'm sure other people have too.
Me too. Thankfully, the lady at Save the Sound is able to find any on the map that have been done. I'm not sure if I can do that. Thank good
I use
riddance.
Trumbull Cleanup. Is it Trumbull Cleanup?
It could be that.
Sorry, don't want to put you
Trumbull
on the
Town
spot.
cleanup. I don't remember what we.
Hi, Mary Ellen. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. It wasn't through. So we were just talking about getting silver certification, which will be officially awarded hopefully in early-ish November, I think. So, and we're also said that we would like to present to town council at their November meeting. Brianna, Mari's daughter, is getting an award then from the town council, and she's also a key person in our equity toolkit, that one of the equity toolkits that got us silver. So she'll be, we'll be keeping her around, I guess, or she'll talk maybe a little bit about that aspect. So we're gonna try to wrap that all together.
So,
And whatever that, when then Mary's gonna figure out, let us know what that date is.
yeah, the town council meeting is on Thursday, November 4th.
Okay,
It's usually on Monday nights, but because it's the night before election day, it's typically held on that Thursday. So that would be great because I can work with the council clerk to get that on the agenda.
okay, yeah, it's coming up kind of soon, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, great. I'm just checking my calendar real quick, make sure November 4th is nothing. Still early. That's okay, good. So what else do we want to talk about here? We're up to what our priorities are for moving forward. And of course, top of the list I have is composting. We're still pushing to get composting at the transfer station and wherever else we can do it, really. My wife got me a composter for our anniversary. Isn't that nice? So I have a composter now that I have to fill up with grass and leaves and such. So I'll do that. But at the transfer station, it would be great to have something which doesn't sound like a big footprint. So we have to keep on. I know George is a busy man and there's a lot of things going on with regard to the transfer station, but we want to keep our that in front of him. So I don't know what other recommendations anybody might have or questions regarding that.
One thing, Cindy, do you know if that got through MetroCog yet, or is that still boiling around there for the
Which one is-
transfer station configuration?
I do not know.
Moving at the fast pace of government.
Yep,
Mm.
yeah. I can check on that.
Alrighty.
Hey, Bill. Bill, can you let Mary Ellen in again?
What happened?
I don't know. She might have lost her connection.
Yeah, I had to come in on my phone because I couldn't get in on my computer, although maybe it might be allowing me to join.
I don't know what happened. My whole screen just went black. Very strange. It's a conspiracy.
Indeed.
All right, any other thoughts on the composting or anything about composting this week?
Well, I think we have all the data we need. The only thing that we don't have for composting is the source for the little bins and bags that we would sell to homeowners at cost if we wanted to go the same route as Scarsdale. But if we get the transfer station on board, I'm sure I can get that out of the folks at Scarsdale. The guy didn't want to give it to me before because we didn't have the transfer station on board for whatever reason. So we would just have to come up with, if you give us a space at the transfer station, here are the next steps that we would take to help you. So like a real action plan. And I can pull that together quickly.
Yeah, they do have some of the, I think everybody was on that email. I think it was CCSMM, but the grants that are coming out, I think Pam, you even sent that to George, but there are grants on there for the materials. So it might be that one of those like year one to try to go for a grant for that.
Yeah, as you know, and I forward the articles probably very annoyingly so, but I think we're seeing more and more a move to composting in the state. There's a lot of news about it. There's things in all the recycling blogs, like it's really becoming a thing. So I don't think it's going to go away. And I'm confident that we can get it done to the transfer station. It's just a matter of timing.
Was Mary Hogue able to provide you with any financials for that? As to the cost that any savings? I know they're saying you're really not going to have savings, which I find strange. So that's what I'm curious about. I know we'd have to pay the hauler to take the composted material, but we're also taking these heavy things usually out of the mainstream waste.
Well, even Scarsdale couldn't give us a savings because I don't know that they did the math on the tipping fees for the trash versus the cost of hauling the composting materials. So I didn't ask Mary Hogue for her financials on that at all. I don't know that I don't know. I mean, I can ask her. I don't know that anybody has that. I think it's just, this is the right thing to do. It's necessary to keep your trash down. It's necessary for the environment. And the cost, I remember from Scarsdale, I think the first year cost for getting it started was $1,200. So the investment is not large. It's just the ongoing hauling that would add up.
That's what I'm just putting town council hat on. So that would be one of the things that would come up in budget, is to say, how much is this going to cost? Whether it costs $5,000 more or it breaks even or it doesn't, it's just a question that will come up. So that's
Well, I don't know who the commercial haulers are, and I don't feel confident asking them myself. If we sign you up, how much would you charge us? I think that someone from the town has to actually have that conversation about a contract for hauling. I don't think it's curbside composting that does it. It's a commercial hauler, but I could be wrong.
I think curbside, they have certain ones there that do certain areas. I thought it was curbside for us, but and maybe somebody said the CCSMM, too many letters, can even help with that. But there has just so there's some ideas so that we know that the pros and cons of it. And again, I agree, it's the right thing to do, and that's why I'm doing it. But that's just going to be a question that'll be asked, so we kind of need to know the answer.
I want to throw this out there, and Pam, I'm kind of directing this towards you because I know you've done a lot of composting research. I'm all for composting, so I will support this initiative wherever we end up with that. But I'm wondering if it's even in the town's best interest, because we share the transfer station with both Monroe and Easton, that we actually get a composting facility at the site where we actually compost on site versus getting a hauler. It's more upfront, but if we have 3 towns chipping in or working on a grant towards it, then we just have the machine here and we just do it ourselves. And then
I don't think you can. I think the commercial composting facilities have high heat that allows things like bones and paper towels to go through. It's not something that we're going to be able to afford to do, even with 3 towns, which is why you get a hauler, and there are, I don't even remember what I found when I first researched this. Geez, it's almost a year ago now, but there are a couple of big facilities in the state where these haulers go, and these commercial facilities with
Yeah.
high heat do the composting for you.
Okay.
But I think your point is well taken, because I believe that we should certainly enlist Monroe and Easton in this endeavor. If we know we're going to have a space at the transfer station, we get all 3 towns on board. I think that there's a savings there and a lot of enthusiasm.
Yes, and I
So-
know Easton's just getting up their sustainable CT group going. They're just starting in Easton. So it might be a great group to tackle something together with.
Did Monroe do anything? Are they certified, Monroe?
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing them, but. Does anybody know if commercial operations facilities can use the composting at the transfer station, or how would that work? Like a restaurant or, whatever, can they bring stuff? I mean, I don't think they can normally bring stuff to the, I think it's just residents, right? To the transfer station?
Yeah, I think it's just residents. I think the waste from the waste from restaurants and stores is picked up by a commercial anaerobic digester. And and there have been years that they've been waiting to build one in Bridgeport, but you guys probably would know if it's built yet, but I don't think so, because the state put in one of these tail wagging the dog laws, where any restaurant that was in 25 miles of an anaerobic composter had to send their they call it feedstock, so all of their waste. So they put this law into place before they actually built the digesters, in the hopes that it would help to drive the industry. But it's been a long haul. I mean, gosh, it's been at least 5 years now, and still nothing in Bridgeport. I know there's one up in near Danbury somewhere, New Milford, I think.
Milford, I think.
Yeah, the New Milford one. So that's kind of outside the 25-mile kind of circumference for it. But yeah, so the restaurants would have to do that way, not come to our transfer station. Yeah.
And then schools. I mean, I was at the Trumbull High yesterday with the dog, and I picked up some paper bag and other trash, and I went to put it in the recycle bin, and there were 10 heads of lettuce in there. And I'm like, this is something that I'm sure it just got thrown out there by mistake, but still it was odd to see heads of lettuce in a recycle bin.
Yeah.
But lots of food scraps there.
Yeah.
Not to beat a dead horse, guys, but at the CCSMM meeting that I attended last, I don't remember when that was, but they were seeking host sites for the digesters. So, I mean, it might be something that George would buy into, maybe as a phase 2 of the process of composting, if it's a revenue generator versus a cost. I mean, and they might be fully funded by the state, and then you just provide a host site and you get paid when you receive stuff. I don't know. Just a thought. But.
That's actually awesome. I like that idea, but maybe it's not at the, maybe the digester is up at Indian Ledge, where all that municipal facility
Right.
is.
Yeah, that's where the space is. Yeah. There's a lot of space up
Something
there.
to broach the subject.
I like that idea, Maury.
Scrap. Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of space up there. There's a lot of, and when Paul Kohlmeyer was the public works director, they did do composting up there at Indian Ledge, right? But the stuff that we got from it, the stuff that we got, the soil that we got, they just weren't, it wasn't getting hot enough. So it was full of weed seeds. So I remember us putting like tons of soil at Booth Hill School, and it was just full of weed seeds, and it's just really bad. So I think there's an art to it, and we didn't know the art at that point, but there's still a lot of room up there for a digester, and there's no smell to them. From what I understand, there's no smell, so it's not something you have to worry about neighbors not wanting a digester there. But I think I wanted to ask, does New Haven, I thought I remembered seeing these little bins in New Haven. They looked like really cute, little tiny, like our garbage pails, but it's really small for the solid waste, for the organic waste. Does anybody know if New Haven, I'm Googling it now just to see if New Haven has.
I mean, for curbside?
Curbside, yes, I'm sorry, for curbside, yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't remember if it is New Haven, but I know there was one town, maybe it is, where they did have the hauler, they changed the way they collected things and they did have like those bins out there as well.
Maybe it would be worth having somebody from the DEP who's, managing this, talk to us, maybe at our next meeting, to just come on and I don't know who the head of it is now, but there's some super smart people there that have been trying to drive this at the municipal level for years. And, it's kind of like all the infrastructure's in place at the municipal level, but the digesters are not really here yet. So it would be interesting to know where the state stands with that, with the digesters. I could find out if you want. I could find out who that person is at the DEP if you want me to.
Like Katie Dykes, is that the right name? Maybe
That would be great, Mary Ellen.
Katie Dykes
Yeah.
is the commissioner.
Commissioner, yeah.
But I could find out who the waste person is. I used to know them, but solid waste DEP. Yeah, they can get on to our next Zoom. Because I just love that. I think it's a great idea, especially if we 3 towns and all the restaurants, we would have enough feedstock, and would come from other towns too, and Fairfield, and because that's what would happen with the digester. They would pick up from Fairfield restaurants and all that, and we would make some money. I think we would make some good money if we had it here in Trumbull.
Maybe.
All
right, that sounds good. We're done on composting. Let's move on to the community garden. Is there any movement on that at all? Does anyone know? I think that's the answer, right?
I was gonna say that's probably back to Mel. Do we have the interest? I know our issue stopped when the resident that was going to put gardens up for the pantry, and that didn't work out. And so then we were talking about is it called Foundry?
Yeah, Founders Plots.
Founders Plots.
So do we still have, is that still like an interest that we want to go that route for? It's also funding, since we don't have the funding at this point. Obviously, we're trying to find ways and talking with Janet, but I didn't know if we wanted to go that route right now, or if we're still just pushing for perhaps the community gardens to be a little bit better this year, coming spring, and butterfly gardens, pollinators and things, or did you want to go that full route that we were talking previously on adding the extra 10 to 15 plots?
I think the Founders Plots concept is a good one. I mean, Dimitri was very interested in that, using those freestanding, gardens for the Founders Plots for pollinator plants. So he was fine with that idea. He had a couple of other ideas to enhance it a little bit, but we'd have to get seeds and plugs to plant in there. So that again would be a spring thing. It could be something that I could find out more about in the winter, because we couldn't plant now, because we'd be putting plugs in. So I like that idea. I think because the plants that will be grown in these Founders Plots are pollinator plants that will accentuate the community garden vegetables and stuff that are growing in there. Oh, you guys, I completely forgot about this. Have you ever been to the Westport Community Gardens?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I went there last week. I've never seen anything so amazing in my life. We should do a field trip there. It's at a school. I can get you the address for it. it's definitely worth going to see. It's massive. It is completely fenced off with a gate, and it's managed very similarly to our community gardens, except they have a team of volunteers that manages it, and they keep track of people who are not weeding, who are not cleaning up, there are all these regulations for it. It's beautiful. It's really, I've never seen, it's been there for, the guy I know that's running it is 17 years he's been running it. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys to see this, because it's a great model for us. And, the whole thing is fenced in. And so that would prevent, so the people within have the smaller gardens inside, do not have to fence in their individual gardens. It's like you go in this gate and you're inside of this magical community garden. It's absolutely beautiful. But that would be, we definitely have enough room to do something of that magnitude there, because it's a big open field that, that's just sitting there. But it would, I just was blown away when I saw it. Really beautiful. Like, there's no overgrown weedy plots. People are really into this, and it's right adjacent to a school. One of the schools is there in Westport. So it was really nice. So I think, we can get some good ideas from how they do it. And it would be worthwhile. I just think we have the room for it and volunteers that are interested in it. So, but anyway, that was really cool. So actually I'll get you the address. And if you're ever driving through it's like on the Southport, Westport border, it's right off Post Road. So it's really easy to find, but it would be worth a trip to look at it. But I would, as far as the founders plots and the ecotypes, I would like to just continue to look at that over the fall and winter, and see if we can plan out and go forward with that and see if I can get some funding for that. Because that would, connect to the community gardens in terms of providing the pollinators.
I'll help you with that, Mel.
Yeah. Okay, that would be cool. We did a pollinator pathway talk last night at the Nichols Garden Club, and there was a young woman there. I don't know, she was maybe 29 or something like that. She was the youngest person in the garden club, and she came up to us afterwards and is really interested in getting involved in this whole concept of the community gardens and native plants, and she'd be a good person, I think, to help with sustainable stuff too.
Was her name Sarah? Sarah Connor?
I think so. I gave her my card, so I asked her to email me. But she's right there in Nichols, and so there was some talk about the community gardens across the street. But a new young person would be great to have help us to drive that community garden. But because after seeing Westport's, I was like, oh wow, if we could do that, that would just be amazing. So so I'll get you the address for the Westport one, and then I'll just kind of see if I can work up a profile with Pam for the founders plots for the community garden. Okay.
Sounds great. Alrighty.
All right, Kevin, what do you think of the idea of doing something at TNAC if we can't do it at the community garden?
Well, it's always a possibility. There is, I think, more room at the existing community garden area at Abraham Nichols Park, depending on, where you would put it at TNAC. TNAC is kind of, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to. The most space that's available is out front, because we're rehabbing the meadow, and we want to keep the meadow as a meadow for various educational purposes and so forth. So it's either that or in the way back or in the very front. But in the very front, it's noisy because of the highway. So I don't think that's a great spot. So, but if it falls through at the existing location, it's certainly something I did talk to Mark and Cheryl about it a little bit, and they said, yeah, sure, if it, if you can get all the volunteers needed to, do everything that needs to be done. And this is what I related, I think, back to Janet, that we need some sort of cohesive plan that says who's going to do what, not just initially, but then ongoing. So there's, we don't want to just make something and then it just falls into disrepair because we don't have people to maintain it. That's always the problem. So, but at TNAC, we'd like to have more gardening if possible, greenhouse, so we can, just for educational purposes, it's great to have. So, we could try to work something like that. And it wouldn't necessarily be a big thing, but if you were to have a certain number of founders plots, we could probably fit that in the back or something if we, it's a great idea. I mean, I'm all for it. I think everybody's for it. It's just, can we get enough people behind it to that actually make it happen? And, because that's a big project. It's a very big project. So the answer is a qualified yes, we could do it. There you go. So the next item on the agenda is student initiatives, and we have a few things. There's, first thing up is TSY, Trumbull Sustainable Youth. So how's that? What's new on Trumbull Sustainable Youth? Would you like to talk about, Mari, April? Who wants to go on that?
I'll just give a quick update, I guess. We're going to try to do another recruiting meeting scheduled for November 2nd, since the kids have off. I reached out to the couple existing members, and it's been a challenge finding a time that everybody's free. So I thought with the day off, we might do a midday meeting before kids have to go to after school stuff. And we sent out from the classroom to all the existing members interest form as well. So we're going to try to recruit new people, secure existing members, and move forward. So it seems like everybody's still interested in continuing with recycling efforts, legislation outreach. I think that's going to be a big one. We can start early in the legislative calendar, and the students are going to try to put together maybe a regular newsletter that we can get out to the community on how to participate in local sustainable legislation. So I'm going to jump ahead to the skip the straw stuff. If we can kind of confirm the best approach from either Sustainable Trumbull Sustainable Youth, or collectively, how we can go about promoting stuff, I think the students would like to work on that, whether it be a combination of approaching restaurants, of how they can, again, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Like, I ordered takeout online, and I was so excited that there was the option for the no cutlery on the online order form. It's such a simple thing because I always forget to click it, and I get all these plasticware. And we have some data I've been sifting through from various sources. I'm sure some of you get the same emails and stuff on, like, 90% of people have silverware at their home when they order takeout. Some stuff like that, that the students can maybe put a nice little flyer together and give to restaurants. Again, not asking for this huge campaign, but just to maybe go walk around door to door and give out information. Again, I don't want to step on any toes in town. So maybe we can get some sort of approval from the right people about approaching businesses, and then approaching it from the other side as well, as we've talked about, to approach residents of how they can look for those things on the online takeout order form to opt for no cutlery, or specifically ask for it. So that's just kind of my thought. So Mary, maybe you can answer that, or Cindy, of how we can make sure we don't tick anybody off by putting together some information.
Cindy's chewing. Nope, there she is.
I would think you would
I
want
can't
to
see
go.
it.
I would think you would want to speak with Rena Bacalar,
Okay.
as far as messaging goes, and I know she deals a lot with local restaurants. So
Right. Okay.
We had talked before, it was more of a more formal thing at one point, and realizing with COVID, it's still, Rena was concerned about pressure on the businesses, and that's why we're figuring hit the consumer side of it as much as we can. But maybe it is even a page, like Mari's saying, to say when somebody calls in for pickup, or they're taking it out, to even just say, do you want utensil? You know what I mean? Just like the little reminder sheet that can go by their phone kind of when anybody's getting it, just because it is true. When you go for takeout, how many people are going out for a nice picnic? Most people you're bringing it home where you already have everything. So in a way to do it so that we're not putting more pressure or, anything on them. I don't know if that's even something that the Economic and Development Commission might want to assist with somewhat, since I know they like to be active with the businesses and things like that, and get their foot in the door every once in a while to see how they're doing. So maybe a collaborative effort.
Well, I know I have far too many takeout, the little packets, and it's frustrating because what do you do with all of them? And I get them when I don't need them, and so I'm with
It's really
you.
a cost savings to restaurants.
You
that
would
we're
think, yeah.
proposing. And I'm very sensitive to struggling businesses. I'm not trying, that's what I'm saying. I really want to approach it as a win-win.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
we
it
can
should
help
be a
businesses.
benefit, it could be a marketing tool too. We're offering this, this sustainability, based on our sustainability efforts here are to reduce waste and, so forth.
So let me reach out to Rena and see if she has any thoughts on it. Whether it would be, something that you could approach the Economic Development Commission, or if it's something that she can, become involved, or so I'm gonna make a note to do that.
Cindy, if she wants to add it to my meeting agenda with her with the car chargers, I am meeting her next Friday. So you can just throw that out there if she wants to, chat about it briefly. That's fine.
Okay. All right, good.
April, do you want me to just talk about the environmental club at the high school real quick, and then you can take over on the school initiatives? Is that good?
She's saying yes.
That's a yes.
Yeah, so basically, the environmental club did sign on to be the point of contact for the school initiatives that April put together. So they're going to implement the Trex recycling, which we've registered the high school for, and they're going to start the BIC writing instrument collection at the school. So they've already started brainstorming on how they can do that at their meetings and whatnot. So that's that.
Good.
You know how many, I'm sorry, April, before you start, do you know how many kids are in the environmental club, and then how many kids do we have in sustainable youth at this point? And do the two overlap members at all, or are there two unique groups?
That was my question too.
I've heard there's quite a few on the environmental club classroom. I don't know that answer. I can ask. And a couple overlapping, but it seems like the Trumbull Sustainable Youth, we have 12 on the classroom. I would say active, we have about 4. And they're not all overlapping, no.
What is the environmental club? What are their other priorities that they've been working on?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I haven't got a clear.
They haven't been all that active.
Right.
No. Yeah, I didn't think, because of COVID, I wouldn't think they would be.
But it sounds like giving them now an actual task as opposed to kind of waiting for them and I think that's great. I'm hopefully that will engage.
And I forgot, they are interested in some way or another participating in the pollinator pathways. So whether the students can do planters, I'm thinking those big planters all across the front of the school there. Why not make those?
So just the planters in front of the school are maintained by the special ed students at Trumbull High as part of like a job program that they do there. Okay. So I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
They could be pollinators, right?
My area of specialty, but I don't want to forget about it. So let's keep brainstorming, because the club would help participate in them. Mr. Hayer said. Okay.
Super.
There's that nice field right by the parking lot, which would be great. It's used for nothing, that we could just dig up and make a huge pollinator garden over there. That would be lovely.
I can't picture.
Which field?
Yeah.
Parking lot.
So when we're,
How about the football field?
The football field to the, if you're staring at Trumbull High, you have the football field to the right. And if you go to the left, there's that field that kind of comes down into that long parking lot. Nobody uses that field up there on that hill. It's just there. I'll show you guys on Saturday when we're there for the recycling drive.
I'm gonna miss it. I have to go to a funeral. I went last Saturday to hoping to see you all and saw nobody because it wasn't there.
Oh,
And now I'm gonna miss you on Saturday.
I guess our messaging wasn't good.
Yeah, well,
But moving us on, so Dr. Simmel,
yes,
I met with all the principals, just to confirm with everybody, all the elementary schools and the middle schools are on board with the BIC recycling. They're all on board with doing the tracks program, so they'll all be up and running with that shortly.
that's middle schools, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Middle school too, and then as well as tech ed. And then if any of the schools were going to hold book drives, which a couple of them were okay doing, we're going to be donating those books to Elite because they're going to be running the bookstore to kind of help funnel those to Elite into the new bookstore that's going to be coming down in the plaza, which would be awesome. And their only concern with the pollinator pathway was that they bring bees and kids are allergic to bees. And I wasn't about to get into a huge argument with people because the only bees that are around the schools right now are yellow jacks, which are carnivores that are just the yayas of the bee community, but real native bees aren't looking to sting anybody. And I wasn't about to get into that entire conversation with 12 administrators. So I let that one go and just kind of let it as if you're adding to your existing flower arrangements, that just go with something that's native versus something that's non-native. And we'll take it again in a few more months as we approach the spring. I'll try to hit that up again.
Good job, April.
Thank you. So that was Trex and BIC recycling, you said. Was there anything else? And then the books, you said, did I miss something else on that? What the middle schools are doing and tech ec?
Right. I'm sorry.
No.
Did I get it all?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thanks.
That's the long school, but not for that directly. I can't remember. Did you have your meeting with Betty? Or did
Yeah,
that?
so Betty Cinco, I did have a meeting with Betty. Betty's Betty. Right now, no surprise, there's a lot of food shortages and supply issues that Betty is facing, as well as staffing issues. So with those other two major things going on right now, even though I'm like, I could fill out a grant for you and we could get, free silverware for all the schools. It was just a no-go at this point. Hoping in a couple of months, things might calm down a little bit and we could revisit that conversation before the grants go away. Not really interested in anything, a reusable kind of tray. We don't have the dishwashers. And I was like, but hey, I got some grants. I get some matching funds for you, to help offset the cost and like refurbish stuff. Again, not interested in a conversation at this time. Hoping we could get there as we move forward, because right now her supplies cost more because she can't get the foam trays, so she has to get more of a compostable tray,
Compostables, and they're expensive,
which costs double the price.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, it's costing double the price. Maybe we could like pilot some of this stuff and we could get some kids in there to help do it. And there's a lot of obstacles that we would have to overcome. So, I planted the seed. I'm here to help her, looking for some grant information. I'll revisit the conversation. Eventually, I think these things are going to come to fruition, whether we want them to or not, with laws. So that will work to our benefit. I'm just want to try to stay ahead of it. Not that Trumbull gets hit with, hey, it's going to cost us $1 million to refurbish all of our kitchens at one time that we don't have. So what we'll see, I don't know. Trying to stay optimistic.
Is it worth going to, as you know, they're talking about the non-lapsing account and all of that to finalize the budget from the last budget season and then going forward. Would it make sense to even ask to be put on their agenda on the Board of Ed before they go into the next budget season as a way of, this is something that based on the costs and based on this and that, it might be worth trying to pilot something, because in the long run, even in the short run, it sounds like it's going to be a money savings thing.
Let me reach out to Dr. Simo and see how he feels, because the Board of Ed and the food services are actually kind of separate, or they're supposed to be run completely separate, except for in the past, the Board of Ed went in there and took funds that they weren't supposed to, in the whole audit situation. So, we got that going on there. So let me just check with Dr. Simo and see maybe how he wants to proceed, not to step on anyone's toes.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I didn't mean just go, yes, I would work through him. I mean, they're still trying to dig out of a bit of a hole for certain areas. So it just might be, it might make sense for them to at least hear about it and decide, and again, I know Betty's in a tough position right now because they're still trying to fund things that weren't accessible. And now with the chain of trying to get things into the kitchen. So I know it's not a winning situation, but I'm just thinking as we head into the budget season, once the budget's set, it's set. So to just kind of put that buzz in that maybe, you never know, maybe we'll get a small school. Yeah.
I will
Excuse
see
me.
what I can do. Yes.
I have
Cynthia.
to run. I'm so sorry. I have another meeting I have to get to. So I apologize.
Can I ask one thing? Do you know,
to
Cindy,
done.
do you know if we are going to have a opportunity or time to try to figure out, especially if we're going to be on the council agenda, what our priority list should be, what we can look at? And again, I know like George is kind of waiting on the transfer station and things like that to happen. So we know things can't be at the immediate speed we would like, but to just kind of figure out what their priorities are to make sure we're going on the same path and not spinning wheels and, and then finding out there's no funding for this or the town doesn't want to move in that direction.
Right.
So I don't know.
I still think that it's probably a good idea to do this in conjunction with the annual budget and the capital plan. And I know we're talking about bringing the capital plan to the council in January. So it's definitely coming up. And I do need to, it's just been crazy. It's crazy season around here, as you
Oh,
might
no, I
guess.
know. I just don't want for us to say, so on the capital plan, we think we're going to add dishwashers to 2 of the schools, or we're going to do this or that, or we're going to try to add some of these things or things that are one-time costs or small things like community gardens, and then have it say like, yeah, you know what, we don't really want to go with that founders thing. We want the pantry. So it's just really a way to kind of, instead of us putting our own little plan together, which, we tried to do our list. If we know even like the top 5, that would definitely help, even in the short term for us moving things forward and collaborating with other towns. So, because, and then the 5 year goes to the 1 year, which doesn't happen until March. So, or May. So, it's off a bit. So it would be helpful if we know what we should be doing.
Yeah, I agree. I've got to figure out, we need to figure out the best way to get you to, present your ideas and talk about realities with the different department heads. But I would think, you're talking about George Estrada and Dimitri. Board of Ed is kind of a separate animal. So
Yep.
That's I can't really help you too much there.
Yeah, not that. And then Rena.
Rena,
we're not and we're not trying to like this. These are all our ideas. We want to do these today. But as I said, if they're like, there's no way we're going to do, like, we're not going to do an anaerobic digester. So don't even bother thinking about it or investigating it. Okay, great. I mean, then that's a biggie. I'm just saying it would be helpful to us if we really know that the town has an idea. We're just trying to offer free labor to try to do good things.
And ideas.
I think maybe just having the individual meetings like we've done in the past, because Cindy, thank you for coordinating with Rena. I feel like I'll be very productive with her, understanding where she needs help with the EV chargers, any of the website stuff, and hopefully I can just throw in the restaurant approach as well and go from there. So I feel like we don't really need another meeting with her in particular, unless anything else on our priority list overlaps.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's
I think
anything
we're kind of
else
tackling it piecemealing, but
if there's anything else that you can think of that would be on your list to talk to Rena about, then that's probably a good opportunity.
okay.
So that's good. So so as far as Dimitri and George, It sounds like, you know, would one, how have you done it in the past? One or more of you have met? Has it been the whole group? What's it been?
Well, no, well, we've invited them to meetings. We actually had great conversations, then we got yelled at, and that's why you're here. So you're supposed to kind of be figuring this out for us.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Do you think inviting them to your next meeting would be good, as opposed to having a meeting off-site?
I don't
Or
know. We
outside
usually have
of
a
your
lot to
regular
cover
meeting?
here, so probably a separate meeting, I would think.
All right, let me see what I can figure out and see if I can get some input from them as to how they envision working it with you.
And
to
I
get
don't,
your
I don't know if they want to meet together or separately, and we would
Yeah.
try to do, like, if they had that list beforehand that we created to even just take a look at, and would be able to kind of go through, and again, we know, you know, George is also waiting for his operations person to come in. Is that something that's a year away? Is it a month away? You know, I mean, we don't know those things. So we're, you know, as I said, we're trying to put things forward. We said that whole chicken and the egg. So
Right.
we just want to try to resolve it to see where, you know, where we can start trying to do things and try to play catch up with the other towns that we're pretty far
Right.
behind on in a lot of initiatives.
So your next meeting is in November?
Yeah, it would be the 8th. Yeah.
November 8th?
And that
Yeah.
would be after we present to town council at that point.
Right,
Right.
okay. Yeah, okay,
We could do it at our meeting if that's the only way to do it, but I
Okay.
don't know if we have enough time.
okay.
All right.
I'll see what I can come up with them.
All right. I think your meeting starts in 1 minute, huh?
Yeah, it's down the street too.
All right.
Paying
Thanks,
attention.
Cindy.
Bye.
All right. All right. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to EV charging? No. All
Someone
right.
should just email her the priority list as a follow-up to the call from the drive, just so she knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
And since our next meeting's kind of soon, only a few weeks, we could probably abridge our regular agenda too, you know, if we need to. But yeah, for EV chargers, I had reached out as a follow-up to the last meeting to Cindy, and she forwarded to Rena, and she was very agreeable to meeting. So I'm meeting with her next week.
So
And that is municipal, right? That's on a municipal site?
Correct. I have a contact with one of the companies that installs them for free, and they're willing to look at any site. I don't know that municipal property meets their criteria, but I can talk to her also about how Fairfield's done their implementation and go from there, see what she wants to do.
Great. Sounds good. And then is there any follow-up on, if we're done with that, or is there any follow-up on the library, some of the initiatives that they had reached out to us on?
So I have an idea. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's a little crazy, but I'm optimistic because I am. Okay. So I was going to reach out to the library and seeing if we could do like a one book, one town kind of thing. And I was thinking of doing this book. It's called Nature's Best Hope. It's written by an environmentalist. I started reading it. It is an easy read, and brings it back down to, we need to make changes in our own backyard versus, just in national parks. So I think it would be a great read for the town. And then I was hoping to maybe tie that in, if we could figure out how to get Janet's funds into the nature center for a tree program for the town. Like, I just want to avoid using the town. Sorry, my kid's riding a quad right now. And if we could just, tie that into the tree program in the spring, I think it would tie things nicely together. So that's how I was going to reach out to the lady at the library about that.
I love that.
Yep, that is a great book. And Doug Tallamy he is like the guru for, bringing nature home to your backyard and doing the things that we're telling people to do for the pollinator pathway and the green corridor, and it's all completely aligned. So I love that idea. That would be a great book for the town to read. He's written, he has 3 books now. This is one of the newer ones. The first one's Bringing Nature Home, but this one is also a good one. So people will want to read his other books once they read this one. But yeah, you're right. It is such a great book, and he is a wonderful guy. He could even do like a Zoom lecture for us or something like that. So
That would be amazing. That would be
that.
amazing to tie in the town read and then culminated with him doing, because you've had him, you hosted him at Aspetuck, and he's amazing.
We've had him a couple of times, and so if you have him in person, you're talking $2,000. If you have him as a Zoom, it's $500, and he is worth every penny. He's just fabulous. So I love that idea. That's a great book for the town to read. Especially, last night when we went to the Nichols Garden Club, I asked specifically, right, Pam, like how many of you have heard of Doug Tallamy? Not one person out of like 35 people there raised their hand. No one. I'm like, how could you not? And then I asked about the pollinator pathway. You heard of the pollinator pathway? Like 2 people raised their hand. The 2 people who had been at the last January thing. So we have a town that has not been able to dive into this yet. So I think starting with the book is a great thing. Great idea. I love it. I love it.
And what did you say, April, about, so you wanted to do a tree program?
Yeah, the tree program that we it's to George and Dimitri. If we could get funding through Janet, through the Nature Center, and then people are chipping in the second half of what it would cost for the trees, then we're doing the tree replacement program in conjunction with some funding, and we're avoiding the town altogether. We're doing it through the Nature Center, which is kind of with the town, but we're not waiting for town approval, which sounds like, well, we all know where that's going. And so we just do a great thing through the Nature Center.
Good. Well, add that
Timing
to
is
my
good.
list for the Nature Center meeting that I have later today.
And then April, that the One Book, One Town, when Sue Horton did it, she had, originally, we used to do that. You're not aware? Or you don't know Sue?
Yeah.
I had kids I didn't read. I had little kids I didn't really read.
Oh, okay. No. I thought you were trying to start it up again. I was like, that's a great idea. So they used to do this, and then I believe it was when Stefan came on board, they stopped doing it, but she had changed it into like a lot of different areas. So, you might want to Google or something like, so it brought it in through the schools, through say like the scouts, through obviously the library, through the senior center. So it touched on a whole bunch of different areas to hit those aspects as well, to broaden it. So I was like, that's great. You're bringing that back.
Yeah.
So you just came up with that idea all by yourself. But I think the tree, the replanting and preservation is huge. So I'd love to get into that. Mel, do you remember I sent you the email of Jim Norgren's, the contact person that we got, this is too many names, through Jim Himes, that was talking about that grant. And you said you thought that person might be able to help out or see how we could benefit. That was one that was like $900 million. Would this be something that might fall under that? Just $1 million.
The tree program, you mean? The tree program? Yeah, so how were we, was it federal or a state grant?
I believe it was
so it must have been federal.
Yeah, I think it was a federal grant, and it was through the land and water. I can find it and send it to you again. But it was a huge grant, which Jim had said was being really underutilized by towns. And this
Right,
is
right.
one that she said they can either act in a very speedy manner for some of them, and in others, they take a little bit of time. It's probably some, you know, you can only apply for a certain thing, but it definitely had to deal with open space and preservation and land and water. So this might be an opportunity to add that, because as I said, it's funny, even hate to bring campaigning, but walking around and talking to people, that's been a big issue about the number of trees. And that's
Oh,
what some man
really?
was showing
Good.
me yesterday. He's like, look what they did to my tree. They chopped down this, UI came and, you know,
Yeah.
and our tree budget, because of the ash tree issue, we've spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars on taking down all these ash trees, which have to come down because they're diseased, but that means there's no budget to do all these other things. So I just wonder if we can try to tie into that to, you know, start bringing some of that back.
Yeah, there was John Massari, who's on the Conservation Commission now. He does a lot of work with the DEP, and he was reaching out to Jenny Dixon, who's the wildlife director there. And he hadn't heard, I don't think, I'll follow up with John to see, because he's the one that had offered to kind of dive into the grant a bit more.
You want me to forward you that link again? Do you need it or do you have it?
If you can send it to me again, that would be great.
Okay.
And I don't have to search for it. But yeah, this program should really happen, this tree replacement. You know, it's time. It's absolutely the time for it. And, you know, if we obviously have to wait until after the election, but you know, there's stuff going on. There's yet another development on Huntington Turnpike. I was horrified that the Moorfield Herb Farm, they're putting in this, it was approved, and we all saw what it was approved to be, and the developer took down what was supposed to be protected, which was a historic stone wall along the front of the property in Huntington Turnpike and the street trees. And they had been there and they'd been protected and they'd worked behind it. And then about a week or two ago, gone, everything. Stone wall's gone, the trees are gone. So
I thought I remembered that at planning and zoning, that they specifically said that those had to stay.
Yes, thank you. I thought I was hallucinating. I asked 3 people, then I called Tony Silber, and he saw it too. And so he called Rob, and Rob went over and said, yeah, they don't have silt. They didn't put silt fences up. It's like, this is the kind of stuff that these are violations. They're violations. And Tony Silber said, yes, those were supposed to be protected. And then Rob said something like, well, the stone wall will go back. No, you don't take down a historic stone wall and then put it back. They put the main entrance to the site in the center. They could have left the stone wall and the trees on both sides, but they took everything out. And I went down by there today, and you know, they put some random silt fences around. I don't think they even know how to put them in, but they're, you know, that's the kind of violation of our streetscape and our street trees that just infuriates me, because, and those are state trees actually, because Huntington Turnpike's a state road. And I want to know if our tree warden approved those removals, which most likely he did, or they just did it. But they're not going to get anything but a smack on the wrist for that. And this is just not a good, you know, it's time to start changing these zoning regulations.
That's not fair that they could do that and not get fined.
Yeah.
That is just so abhorrent. It is so off the charts wrong that my head is exploding right now.
Yeah. Just
Do we have fines that would be in place at this point, or that's not written in the regs? I don't remember.
No. So for that, in that case, it was, they have violated the approved plan, the land use plan. They had, it was clearly, everybody remembers that was supposed to be kept. That buffer was supposed to be there. That was, and even the planning and zoning person said, so when they violate that, you know, it's too late to fix the trees now. We're never going to have a tree canopy there again. And they're like, oh, we'll put the stone wall back. No, and there were huge piles of fill there, not one silt fence. That stuff just rolls into Huntington Turnpike and goes into our streams. Like, how is this stuff allowed? Do we not have somebody who is going out to these sites and checking? I mean, But I won't even go by Daniels Farm Road because I don't even want to see what's going on there.
Oh, don't. The houses are so close to one another. It's really a shame.
Yeah,
It's-
it just, this goes on and people have there's no sense of there's no consequences for the developers to do something. If they do something wrong, they just do something wrong. They're not fined. Rob just goes out and tells them, put the stone wall back. Well, it's too late now because it's been there for probably 100 years and all those trees are gone now for no reason. So, this is the kind of, these are sustainable practices that we should be mandating in the town now, especially for water, stormwater. That site on Huntington Turnpike is between Huntington Turnpike and we have a park behind there. It's a wetland in the back and a town park. That's a town open space back there. And they just completely violated the regulations for land use, for appropriate land use, for development. So it's just, it's infuriating.
But who owns that, Mel? Is that P&Z or is that Rob?
Well,
Like
P&Z approved it, and then really it's Rob and whoever I guess there's an inspector. There's what's his name? Is it Doug Wentz or something? Who's supposed to be going out to these sites?
Engineer? Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out is who's, because I think we really should be in contact with, I know the regs are still waiting to be rewritten, and that's where we did put in things instead of should, must. But I think, if there's fines in place and these things are, we have them, you approve the plans for a specific reason. And if they're not coming by them, it's like, well, you're not doing business in town anymore, or, you're financially responsible, whatever it is. So I think that's something we should definitely follow up with.
Yeah, and I think in the message that Tony sent to Rob, he copied Bill Maher, the town engineer, on it too. And that's what now the silt fences are up. But you shouldn't have to ask for that.
Yeah,
it should be automatic. But it's the removal of things that were supposed to be protected that they just totally disregarded, and that's infuriating.
That developer shouldn't be allowed to have any business here in town. And again, he should not be allowed to develop any other properties in town.
Yeah, fine them. Stop. They can put stuff. If that happened in Westport, they would submit a stop work order. They would stop. They would halt that development right immediately, and they would be fined pretty substantially, but not in Trumbull. Oh, sorry. And so God help us if I find out that the tree warden approved that removal.
Should this be a priority of sustainable Trumbull for this kind of thing? Should be. I mean, it's obviously not. It's not really an action, sustainable CT action, but it's sustainability related. That we.
well,
I don't know whatever it would be.
It is for
Update the POCD?
stormwater. Yeah, but for stormwater, for tree preservation of the stone walls, that's also a priority. I mean, at this point, we don't really have to stick to them. It's good to have that as a leading guide to continue down the path. But when we have, your head of conservation going, okay, look at all this that's going on. And then we're still, we still don't have the steep slope ordinance. And I mean, things like that all directly impact our stormwater and, drainage and our wetlands. And I know at the last conservation, they were talking about the mandates that are coming in. So I think some of those will help. But I mean, frankly, I don't see anything wrong with, us talking once we know exactly more specifics, but talking at public comment of P&Z. I don't remember if it has to adhere to if they're the council where it has to be an agenda item, or if you could speak to anything, I'm not sure. But I do think it should somehow come up with a discussion with them about that, because that's, you can't get a slap on the wrist for doing something that is environmentally bad. It's bad for the community and bad for that whole area.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's no low impact development there, which makes me worry when I see something like that that's so blatant. It makes me worry about what's going on in the rest of the property there, and the impact that it's going to have on our park back there, our open space, the neighbors. You know, it makes you worry. If you can just be right up front there in the front of Huntington Turnpike and just completely violate what was on your plan of development and just say, oh, well, whoops, you know, we just took down 30 trees and a stone wall, but that's okay. Because we're in Trumbull and we can do that. Nobody will yell at us. It's just not okay. And I think it is something that's sustainable, Trumbull, because it's not low impact development. And part of that, you know, low impact development is understanding to build within nature's envelope and not rape the land like we've been allowed to occur here. So anyway, it's just my 2 cents. But I think we need to vocalize if we go to planning and zoning. I don't know when next planning and zoning meeting is, but they usually do have a public portion at the beginning. So I will look it up. Because the first person I called was Tony Silber, and he was as horrified as I was.
Oh, yeah, he's very much unusually, yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess we just need to find out what their practice is. You know, you're not supposed to find out at the end that something was done at the beginning
Yeah.
and then not allow it.
That's right. Okay. All right.
Right. Other than, I don't think there's much else on the list. We talked about TNAC possible projects, so I don't know if there's anything else there. So that's the end of my list for the agenda. Anybody else? Anything else before we adjourn?
One thing I was multitasking you, don't be offended, but I was looking at both Easton and Monroe is not registered as a sustainable town, but Easton has registered to become a sustainable town, but they haven't done anything yet. And there's a
So
name.
Monroe hasn't done anything?
They haven't done anything. They registered in January of 2020, so they're not certified yet. And there's a contact name there if we wanted to contact the town of Easton. The guy's head in planning and zoning there, his name is Justin Girlando. So if we wanted to do something with Easton, potentially there's a person there who's supposed to be the sustainable guy.
Good. We did never heard back anything from Bridgeport. I don't know what's going on there either. So we'll have to. We did talk a while ago to yes, I forgot her name.
Yeah, and I don't even want to bring up with George the mattress recycling.
Right. No. God.
But I mean, I know Bridgeport does it, but I mean, I've got a mattress in my house now, and I'm like, what do we do with this thing? I hate to bring it to the transfer station and throw it out. It's just it's.
I did talk to the contact at Bye Bye Mattress because I wanted to see what we could do for hazardous waste, but he didn't get back to me in timely enough. But see if we could have it up there, and they do pay for it and they do it all. He gave me the numbers the other towns did. They bring in a pretty fair number. So I know people are like, who holds onto a mattress for a year and wait for hazardous waste. But anyway, the guy did say that the Bridgeport station, it is not the transfer station, but it's their own like mattress facility or whatever it is. It's another point of contact, but that's where they collect the mattresses and you don't have to be a Bridgeport resident. So you can go to those Bye Bye Mattress areas and drop at any point. So I figured that'll be a good, so I was hoping that, when we met with George, that would be a good thing to point out that people can take to these other areas. I think Trumbull's still listed, unfortunately. But he did also come up with another way that he thought it would be better suited at the transfer station than what they'd done in the past. And he had sent that, I think it's right when George came on, and then he was getting caught up and then we hit COVID. So he did send me that little plan. So I'll bring that to him as well to see if that's something that once the plan's reconfigured, that it might fit in. But second way, at least, if not, we do know that we can go to other towns.
Well, why don't we publicize that on our social, that if you have a mattress, you can bring it to these locations. We don't have a mattress recycling here yet. That would be good to do. I mean, this thing is wicked heavy. I hate the idea of my having to haul it, but gosh, I don't want to throw it out.
No, that's yes. Because I didn't realize that. I thought we had to be a Bridgeport resident.
Thank you for telling me that.
All you have to do is haul it there.
Yeah.
Strong boys.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, all set, everybody?
Yeah, that, very good.
I just have one quick thing, and this will be just a quick favor from Mary, but do you have a total on the Bay State textile collections that you can share with the group at some point or find out?
You know, it's funny, I was just gonna get in touch with them because I don't think they put the stickers up yet. And
Okay.
now as the weather's getting cooler, I was gonna put up a reminder to say, you know, when you're cleaning all your stuff out, things that, you know, aren't good enough to be donated, reminder that they're there. But,
Yeah.
so I'll check with her and find out what amount we have at this point.
You know something, that I'm glad you brought that up, Maury, because when I was at the school yesterday, that bin that used to be, it said books and clothing. For a while, there was a sign on it that said books only. And our bin is by the pool. This bin that was supposed to be for books only is overflowing with bags of fabrics, like clothes. And I wonder if we could
That
put a
people
little
are getting
sign like,
confused.
go that way for the, the rest of your
Wow.
stuff, because I think it's kind of hidden back there.
Confusing.
Well, you know what, I think there probably to be a better signage on that then, because that's why I thought we would only do it at the one school, because they were collecting, and I think it was April that said that's only books, either April or the principal. And so people probably are confusing, oh yeah, there's a bin there, they're going to that. So maybe I'll make up some laminated sign and put it on there and say, you know, clothing or whatever, you know, at the pool area.
Okay.
I was hoping they'd go right next to each other, frankly, so it was just one place
Yeah.
to stop, but that would have been too easy, so.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Great. All set?
Welcome back, Kevin, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon. Sorry, I'll miss you on Saturday.
We made it before 4:45 at least,
Yeah,
so.
wow.
Yeah.
Bill can get to, yeah, have fun
Impressive.
at the open house. Or is it teacher conference?
Teacher conference.
Oh, I'm sure you're
Feel
gonna
better,
get.
Maury.
great
That does sound like
reviews.
fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Well,